Well, I've got the sides dovetailed to the bottom now, and those culls that are on there are to help keep the sides flat until we complete the assembly. So the next thing to do is to trim off the front edge. So the next step is to cut off this piece of the bottom here flush so that it sits on top of this piece here, which will lower it down 3/4 of an inch. And the side actually sits down on this molding that you can see down there on the bottom. There's a 3/4 inch piece, and the side molding fits in there. So that's what the next step is to get it nice and straight across there. So now that we have the side cut off in the right spot, you can see that the base molding now fits into its big dovetail, and the sides here, we'll zoom in there, just sit on top of the base molding there, and it's a nice fit. And then you see the line there, which is a 45-degree miter that I've got to put on the base molding there so that the side molding can miter into it. So that's the next step. We're going to take it out of the chest and cut it on a chop saw. Well, I cut the miter on the chop saw as well as cutting the miter on the side molding, and you can see it's a pretty good fit there. So I've got it where I want it. Now on the bottom here, we've got the filler piece that makes the rest of the base, and you can see a 1/4 inch tongue there, which matches the 1/4 inch groove here. So that helps hold the molding on and makes the base. So that's a 3-inch piece under there that now matches this. So we've got our full 7/8 and what is that, 1.25 inch depth there, and there's a piece in the back as well. So that's the frame that the whole thing sits on. Well, I've glued up some mahogany and pine here to make the drawer dividers, and they're 13/16 of an inch thick, and they're a little longer than they need to be. I have this template here for the shape that they have to be cut out, and I've got a little wheel. They need to be 1/8 of an inch wider than the drawers themselves to allow for the cock bead. So I've got this little washer here that's 1/8 of an inch, and I can run it along the profile so that it gives me a line that's 1/8 of an inch out. Then I'll bandsaw them off and then clean them up, get them smooth, and then I'll use a router bit to put a bead on both edges for these. The one, the top drawer divider I was working on earlier has only one cock bead on it. So that's where we're at. Well, I made some progress on the carcass here. As you can see, I laid out with my story stick here, which is the bottom. There's the bottom. And it's got marked on here where all of the drawer dividers are, as well as the subtop, which goes up here. So what I did is I cut the dados in here. These are 13/16 of an inch wide, and they are 3/16 of an inch deep. I also cut in 3-inch dovetails in the sides here. So the drawer dividers, this is the top one, but they're all the same. So they're 5.5 inches wide, and I glued them together with a piece of pine in the back. So we got mahogany and pine, and the reason for that is so that we don't waste so much of the mahogany. And I put the cock bead on here. I haven't done it with all of them yet, but the top one goes in here, and it's unique in that it has only a single bead. The top sits on, this is called a subtop. The top sits on that, and we'll put some screws in here to hold the top on. So as you can see here, there's dovetails on here, as well as a little notch that fits into this groove here. This groove here that's along the front here is 3/16 of an inch deep, and that's where the cock beading goes. So what we have here, if we can get it down in there, you can see that the cock bead here sticks out 1/8 of an inch off of the front, and then the other piece of cock beading will come in underneath here, and then we'll miter the corners together like so, and of course we'll do a video when we get to that point. So I've got to put another cross piece here, dovetail a piece in the back. Now it's just a plain old piece, but that's what holds it together. So it's nice and square, and I think once we make this rear piece, it'll be time to glue up the sides to the bottom. These cross pieces will be glued up, and we'll make sure that it's all squared up. The bottom, this large molding will be glued into the bottom. So that will be coming up shortly. Then we'll put the side molding and the base on, and then I'll work on the drawer dividers, which will be after all of that.